Oh my God, way better. Yeah, okay. What is the optimal width tyre for a cross-country bike? Is it a 2.1, a 2.35, a 2.6, or a 2. Well, more? Well, today we're going to find out. I've got Vittoria Mezcals on a set of FSA I-29 wheels in those various sizes, and we're going to do a couple of experiments. We're going to do climbing at set power and some single track to see if there's an optimum number. Why use wider tyres then? Well, over the years, tyre width has been getting progressively bigger, and there's a few reasons for this. Well, for a start, we know that wider tyres generate lower rolling resistance at a certain tyre pressure, which when it comes to cross-country, that's pretty crucial. Thanks to physics, concepts with fun names like hoop stress, we know that wider tyres need lower pressures to have the same characteristics as narrower tyres with higher pressures. These lower pressures in your tyres, well, they help the tyre conform to the ground, giving you extra grip and comfort. With all this talk of a broader contact patch and more grip then, shouldn't we be riding around all on fat bikes? Well, not so fast. Well, that extra grip does come at a cost, mind, and it is, of course, weight. Now, a set of 2.1-inch tyres, they're going to weigh about 1,380 grams for the pair. A set of 2.35s, 1,500 grams, and a set of 2.6s, 1,750 grams. That's a difference of 370 grams from the lightest to the heaviest set. That additional weight is added in kind of one of the worst places that you want it on the bike, that rotational mass. And it's one of the reasons why XC riders have been sort of late to the game in adopting wider tyres. However, XC riders are slowly making the change. The GOAT, Nino Schurter, has been using 2.4s on his bike for a number of years now, but other riders, such as Tom Pidcock, are still slightly more reserved, running 2.2 still. As always, it's about finding that compromise of speed, comfort, grip, and weight. So on that note, let's see if we can find it. Before we get going, let's talk tyre pressures. Now, I've used these tyres at 2.35 many times in the past, and I'd normally run 24 PSI up front, 26 PSI out back. And we're going to use that as our baseline. First up then, the climbing experiment. Ahead of me is about a 3-minute hill. Now I've got my Garmin head unit here synced to my power meter cranks. We're going to try and hold an average wattage of about 270 to 300 watts the whole way up. First up is 2.1 tyres, then 2.35 and then 2.6. And once we get to the top, you've got to come back down. So it's some single track smashing. We're going to time that, but we're also going to look at how it feels on the way down as well. So then, to keep things fair and square, we've run the numbers, we've done the calculations, and we've crunched the data. And it works out that we need to roughly drop the pressures by 2 PSI each time we go between tyre widths. This means we're going to start out at 28 PSI and 26 PSI front and rear on the 2.1s. By the time we get to 2.6s, we'll be at 22 and 24. Off we go then, 2.1s, and they look ridiculous. Super duper narrow. The first half of this kind of fire road, off-road climb, they are going to be a little bit quicker because it's pretty smooth and very hard. Right, now we transition off the fire road onto kind of the muddier, rockier, rootier part of the climb. Now the 2.1s are running the firmest pressures. And I think this is where we're going to get a bit scuppered, because it does feel, although faster on the smooth stuff, as soon as we hit this kind of bumpier, slippier, oh, you can hear it there, bumpier, slippier stuff, it struggles for grip. Doesn't mold to the ground, doesn't mold over the roots and things like that. So wheel spinning's much more likely. Hey, and finish. So that's our first 2.1 climb done. We'll get into the details later, but first, we're gonna go back down to the single track. And here we go. Single track downhill. 2.1s are on. It's a rowdy bit of trail that flattens off at the bottom. Oh my God, these things feel leery. I'm not enjoying this, people. Oh my goodness me. Oh, I hear that ping. Oh, I have to be a bit cautious. I don't like it. I don't like it. There we go. There's my inside line. Oh. So a huge difference I notice is actually confidence whilst riding. It does not inspire confidence. Oh, he's copped it. Oh no, gone offline. It does not inspire confidence when riding. 2.1's done. That was a wild ride, I'm not gonna lie. Not overly fond of it. I can see why we've all moved on, should we say. But anyway, let's get back to the van, quick pit stop, and the 2.35's on. Like we said, wider tyres need less pressure than narrower tyres to keep the same casing tension. There are some websites and calculations and equations that you can find online to work out the exact casing tension that you might need for the width tyre you're running. But that's enough talk about pressure. Let's crack on with them runs. Here we go. I'll be honest with you, the drag feels minimal at the moment in comparison to the first width tyres, so bodes well, but you know, power don't lie, times don't lie. See what we got. Okay, so now we're back onto the proper, muddier, rockier, slipperier section of the climb. That's really hard to show on certainly a GoPro, but like I went over a little rocky patch then and didn't wheel spin, and I did on the first run. You add that up over lots of little sections, makes a big difference. Yo! Okay, 2.35 climb done. Definitely felt a lot better on the climbs. Let's go hit some single track. 2.35, dropping. Like being old faithful at the moment, yeah, Manuel. Oh my days. Might have got a bit overconfident, but no jokes, there is a humongous difference here, people, in both noticing the width and the softer pressure. That larger contact pack is giving me better grip and better braking, which perks up the old confidence. Low line. Carry speed over the normal line there. If that's not quicker, I'll eat my clips. So much better, people. 2.35s, that felt like my normal XC bike, so very much at home on it. Like I said, slightly softer pressures. Didn't look weird. I think that's, you know, a mental side of it is what it looks like as well. Looking down and seeing a skinny tyre or a slightly fatter tyre. But that run felt good. If that's not faster, like I said, I'll eat my hat. We've got to go swap out for 2.6s, so let's go do that. Look at the size of the balloons on the thing. 2.6s look massive on the XC bike. 22 PSI up front, 24 out back. Plenty of tyre clearance, luckily, on my Canyon Lux Trail. But if you are thinking of going tyres this big on an XC bike, check with the manufacturer first. But anyway, we got to go climbing. Off we trot then with the 2.6s. I've made my bike look like a monster truck. They look huge. And we'll find out at the end, but I should only imagine that they will be way slower on this first fire road part. The additional width, the lower pressures, that's got to be drag, right? Okay, this is where I expect it to pick up. As always, we come off the fire road onto the proper off-road. Better grip on the mud. I would hope that there's no slipping at all when we hit rocks and roots. Yeah, ploughing through, but at what cost? Feels good on all this loose rock, squishy mud. Doesn't cut through like the narrower tyres. Kind of sits on top a little bit more. But when it gets to that kind of more bedrocky stuff, yeah, no wheel spins, no sliding around, no pinging off each bump. That's a big thing. And we're nearly there, and finito. Oh, that 2.6 got me puffing a little. I mean, there was definitely pros, I think a bit more cons. You'd be hard pushed to convince any XC rider to run 2.6s, let alone race on them. That's hard work, I reckon. Over the course of a race or a big ride, you're going to be losing some time and some power there and energy. But for a well-rounded view, we got to go back down. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, that was the best mani yet. 22, 24 PSI combo. Such a large amount of grip in comparison over the 235s. So the 2.1's not even worth talking about right now because there is no comparison. That front end went a touch there, but actually like fits in. If I was on the narrow tyres, I'd be checking out the front door there. Okay, the roots are where it's gonna matter. Got my line. Nice. Oh, that's so sketchy today. And we go up. Oh, dreamy 2.6s. And he holds all the tight lines. Haven't done that on any of the other tyres. To the line. Okay, that was, by comparison to 2.1s, a dreamy downhill run. But how fast was it? How did it feel? Well, for that, let's head back to the set. Thank goodness then, we're back in the set and it's considerably warmer and drier. But the results is kind of what we all want to know, right? So let's dive straight in. On the 2.1 inch tyres, the climb average power was 266 watts. So I was just shy of kind of the range I wanted to be in there. And the time was 3 minutes 43, whilst the 2.1s on the single track was 1 minute and 44 seconds. Moving on, the 2.35 inch tyres, on the climb, an average power of 273, so 7 watts more, with a time of 3:46, so actually 3 seconds slower. I'll get into that in a second. And on the single track, it was 1 minute 31.5, so it's considerably quicker. And I'm going to put that down to, quite plain and simply, slightly wider, better grip, and a lower pressure. I don't think that's any secret out there. The 2.6s, and I think this is what we all kind of want to know. I think this is what could throw a bit of a curveball to some of our thinking, because 2.6 on an XC bike just seems wild, right? Well, on the climb, the average power was 289, so the highest of all three. So you can put that down to additional weight and drag, I think. It just requires more effort to get the same kind of thing out, and that's reflected in the time. The time was 3:51, so it was also the slowest time. So you can definitely see where that bigger tyre is less beneficial. However, on the single track, it was 1:32.3 going back down. Actually a second slower than the 2.35, so barely anything in it. And on a wet, slippery day like that, you know, a second you could put down to maybe a slightly offline choice from myself or not maybe carrying so much speed. So quite negligible on the downhills, which I think is surprising, right? Now, what I most want to talk about is how the 2.1s were actually quickest on the climb. I'm going to put that down to the type of climb that we used. They were 3 seconds faster. Now, the climb we used was mainly fire road on the beginning, so pretty smooth, and you can hold a good pace. And actually, for that pace, you don't need as much effort as shown in the average power. Where it lost maybe a bit of time and brought those times closer together, it was the second half of our climb, where it did get muddier and slipperier with a few turns in there as well. And I think that's where that real firm pressure as well just wasn't biting into kind of the rocks and the roots and through the mud just quite as well. It does sort of show by this, though, that for the effort required and the times that you do, that a 2.35 is sort of that optimal tyre size on a cross-country bike. And it shows because that's what most of the pack in the men's and women's field are using these days. But I want to know what you think in the comments down below. Would you go wider? Would you go narrower? Are you still old school using a 2.1 or even narrower? I don't know if they even make a narrower tyre than that anymore. Let me know. I'd be fascinated. I'm going to stick my 2.35s, I think, for now, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Let me know if you'd like to see more cross-country content on the channel in the future, and I'll do my best to deliver. But from me, for now, from the set, I'll see you later.